Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, another plea for family members to collect their deceased loved ones from the morgue at PMH. Dr. Dwayne Sands not in support of extending the state of emergency. Plus, trouble continues for Potter's Key dock vendors.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. With over 150 bodies in storage, the morgue at Princess Margaret Hospital is well beyond its maximum capacity of 66. In a statement today, the Public Hospitals Authority said the increasing number of bodies threatens the morgue's operations and the overflow conditions compromise the integrity of a body in long-term storage. The PHA warned that in the event bodies are not removed in a timely manner, it will seek the required legal authority to remove the remains. The PHA sent out an urgent plea for family members of deceased individuals at the morgue to have their remains collected as soon as possible. Family members are asked to contact management at PMH at 322-2861 to arrange for the collection of their deceased loved ones. Well, as the government moves to extend the state of emergency to the end of October, don't expect former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands to support it. The current emergency period is set to expire on September 30th. After 6 months, Sands questioned whether we are going to surrender democracy indefinitely and insisted the country is not better off after surrendering responsibility to a single person. Here's Bertha McDermott.
The time has come to return the power to the people, says former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands, who made it clear he will not be backing government's plan to extend the state of emergency to October 31st. The F&M MP said he sees no reason for control to continue to be limited to a single individual during the COVID-19 pandemic.
There is the belief that we have surrendered our responsibility and concentrated it into a single person. I don't think the country is a whole lot better off because of it. As a matter of fact, at 3,000 cases, almost 90 deaths, some might say that we are certainly not better off.
Governor General C.A. Smith declared a state of emergency on March 18th, granting wide-ranging powers to Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis as the competent authority. The move came 3 days after the Bahamas confirmed its first case of COVID-19. Since then, the country has confirmed more than 3,080 cases.
It is time now for the legislature to assume its rightful place as one of the pillars of democracy. There is no end in sight to COVID-19. Are we going to surrender democracy indefinitely? Or are we going to return the power to the people?
When he addressed the House of Assembly on Wednesday, Dr. Minnis said there continues to be a need for the state of emergency, citing the increasing number of cases and deaths. The current emergency period is set to expire on September 30th. Over the course of the last 6 months, there have been numerous lockdowns, curfews, and other restrictive measures to fight COVID-19 in the Bahamas. Still, cases continue to rise.
I don't see anything that would suggest that this member of parliament should vote to extend those emergency powers. And so I will go on record as saying that Elizabeth will not be supporting the extension.
The Prime Minister gave notice that the government plans to debate the resolution at next week's sitting of the House of Assembly. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bertha McDermott.
It will cost the government $800,000 to house boarders relocated from PMH to care facilities across the island. Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell revealed the figure this afternoon during a news conference. Jasmine Brown has more.
This joint effort is budgeted to cost approximately $800,000 in the first year for care and needs of the residents.
Campbell said the initiative is a joint effort with the Ministry of Health, which has on several occasions identified the relocation of boarders as a priority for improving bed capacity for COVID-19 patients during the pandemic.
In a combined initiative, the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development and the Ministry of Health worked in tandem to relocate the boarders from the Princess Margaret Hospital to senior residential facilities.
When he was asked to explain why it was forecasted to cost $800,000 to house and care for approximately 25 boarders in the first 12 months, the Social Services Minister said that's because the majority of boarders are being placed in private senior citizens' homes. Campbell said given the circumstances, he believes the cost for the relocation is relatively inexpensive.
Expensive is a relative term. And when you relate that to the near $6 million that was being spent or paid for them while they were in hospital, I think the cost is quite inexpensive.
Asked about the timeline for the relocation, Acting Director of Social Services Lillian Quant Forbes says before the boarders can be relocated, they have to be tested for COVID-19. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The mother of a man who was gunned down on Tuesday night says he was trying to turn his life around. Jared Hicks has the story.
He had a couple of issues. That's the truth. You might as well tell the news the truth because the people still can talk the truth.
51-year-old Diane Fowler was passionate and didn't mince words as she described her son, 26-year-old Shamal Ferguson.
They'll say the mother came on TV lying for him. You cannot lie for a person. The truth is the truth.
And that truth is that Ferguson had run-ins with the law that landed him behind bars. He was gunned down on Tuesday night outside the First Street home he shared with other family members. We interviewed his mother at her home off Malcolm Road. She says before he spent time in jail, his father was gunned down. She says it was unfair that he met the same fate.
He didn't deserve to die in the road. I guess shoot down like a dog in the road.
Fowler says Ferguson was raised by his grandmother and she only really started getting close to him a year ago while he was behind bars.
He been in the prison, must see about twice or three times. But this last time he was in prison, he was calling a lot.
Ferguson also recently started forming a bond with his mother's 9 other children. Despite their many years apart, she says his death is still painful for her.
The night he got killed, I tried to sleep. I couldn't sleep. And I just jump in the car and I was riding. I don't know where I was going, but I know the police bring me back. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. It hurts. It hurts a lot.
While he had a checkered past, the grieving mother, who was still recovering from a stroke, says her son was trying to turn his life around.
He had some bad times, and he rallied up and realized that, hey, time to straighten up. And he straightened up and was trying to be a better person. But it's time just cut short.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
The Minister administration has spent more than $13 million on the National Food Distribution Program and plans on extending the feeding initiative for another month and a half, according to Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell, who gave an update during a press conference this afternoon.
The National Food Distribution Task Force timeframe was to operate from the last week in May to the end of August. To date, the government has provided funds in the amount of $13,225,341.
In Parliament last week, Finance Minister Peter Turnquest said approximately $11.9 million has been dispersed through the task force to participating non-governmental organizations. The National Food Distribution Task Force is made up of government and non-governmental entities.
The National Food Distribution Task Force has distributed food parcels and vouchers to approximately 55,078 households throughout the Bahamas up to September 12th. The need for continued food assistance through the task force is still of paramount importance, and as such, the government of the Bahamas has committed to the continued partnership to the end of October 2020.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Nice day around the island, sunny and hot conditions. Temperatures now settling into the mid-80s. 84 is our current temperature under fair skies. The winds out of the south at 5 knots, feels like temperature around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. On our satellite, beautiful conditions around the islands. Once again, high pressure remains in charge. A couple of showers across the Nagua area as well as the Andros and the Grand Bahama area. Those showers will continue through the rest of the evening. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, Dorian caused millions in damage to Abaco and Grand Bahama's ecosystem. Plus, remembering the teen boy stabbed to death 1 year ago. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Hurricane Dorian resulted in an estimated $7 million in damage to Abaco and Grand Bahama's ecosystems, according to a report released by the Inter-American Development Bank. The report noted that ecosystems were left in a critical state while pre-existing vulnerabilities were exacerbated. With more on this, here's Bethany McDermott.
According to an Inter-American Development Bank report, Hurricane Dorian caused roughly $7 million worth of damage to the Bahamas' marine ecosystems, leaving mangroves, coral reefs, seagrass beds, and forests on Abaco and Grand Bahama in a critical state. The report, released a little over a year after Dorian ravaged those two northern islands, noted the difficulty of assigning a price tag to the environmental assessment. Save the Bay's executive chairman Joe Darville says the report was spot on.
The damage done to our mangroves is absolutely inestimable. I have never imagined that mangroves would die to that extent.
Noting the importance of ecosystems to the Bahamian economy, the IDB anticipates that the impact of that monster hurricane will result in losses of approximately $27 million. Then there's additional costs like future environmental assessments, organic debris removal, fire control measures, and a significant private cost related to the oil spill on Grand Bahama. All of those costs are estimated at $102 million. Darville estimates that the damage the oil spill had on the forest exceeds $10 million.
My estimate, being a very novel people in terms of estimation, that would be amount to about 10 millions worth of damage done just to the forest.
The more than 200-page report also noted that the value reflected in this damage estimation is only based on a global average of the cost of restoration. It continues, numbers could go higher depending on factors such as equipment availability, local workforce, planning, and monitoring. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
The mother of a teenager who was stabbed to death more than a year ago says she still thinks of her son every day. Jared Hakes tells us she has coped with the support of loved ones and even strangers.
40-year-old Gladys Louise still remembers the bond she shared with her only son, 15-year-old Perry Roll Jr.
From he was born, we had that connection. We were like, it was only us.
Roll Jr., a T.A. Thompson student, was killed on March 26, 2019 after police say he got into an altercation with another teen boy. A heartbroken Louis appeared on Our News the following day.
I was never there to protect him.
Fast forward nearly 18 months and Louis says she's still grieving. However, the support of both loved ones and strangers has helped her to cope.
A lot of people came and they reached out to me. And I thank them and I thank God every day for them. You know, I had a lot of love.
Roll Jr.'s death sparked a national conversation on violence in schools. Louis, who works as a cleaner and has two daughters ages 10 and 11, is encouraging parents to speak to their children about their issues and urges them to tell them that they are loved. She also thinks kids need extracurricular activities to keep them focused.
Enroll them in something, you understand? Try to find something to occupy their time. You know, I wish I had the opportunity with the parents that they have in terms of trying to keep their children away from violence.
Louis also leans on and offers her support to her Wilson Track community. She chose Goodman's Bay Beach for our interview, since that was one of Perry's favorite places to visit.
I never thought today I would have been on an interview right now, you know, saying how much I miss him, you know, but I really miss him.
Louis says her son's friends still come by and talk to her. She thinks that's a testament to the strength of their friendships. She says she can still remember the little moments they shared. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
One day after Potters Key dock vendors expressed issues with police officers enforcing COVID orders, a vendor says the confusion has resulted in him receiving a $6,500 fine that he cannot afford. Jillian Gray has more.
I can't pay this fine. I really like this. I'll take this up to the higher courts where I could get clarification, because the police said to me last night they are not here to explain a citation. They only here to enforce it.
Since being allowed to open for curbside and takeout orders, vendors at Potters Key have complained of a decrease in business, partly due, they say, to the way officers are enforcing the measures. Kelly says there were about 6 people in front of his stall last night waiting for their takeout, and at the busiest time, he was ordered to close up shop.
They're saying that I had them congregating on a public sidewalk, which in there just waiting for their food. This is some of the things we're experiencing now, but the understanding for takeaway and curbside, this is where the difficulty comes in. This is where it comes to loss of profit now, which I feel is disrespectful for $6,500 doing this kind of state and time. So I really trying to figure out as a young business person what avenues I take right now, trying to reach out to the minister or the PS or whoever else to concern these matters to help us move along smoothly with the government. We ain't trying to go against the government. We're looking for a better avenue to do our business better.
President of the Fish, Food and Fruit Vendors Association, Armonique Bowe, said she's reached out to the Minister of Agriculture for help.
You have to walk from the parking lot, which is all the way out front or all the way in the back. You're exhausted when you get here, so you would want to drink. You cannot drink or eat with a mask on. So what I'm saying, I'm begging to the Prime Minister, the competent authority, to please clarify what is takeaway and curbside, because officials are mixed up and confused. Everybody is taking it as something different.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. Still to come, work underway at Port Lucaya Marina following this week's wall collapse. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
A local environmentalist is sounding the alarm on cruise ship activity in Bahamian waters. Save the Bay's chairman Joseph Darwell calling for better monitoring of cruise ships as they pass through and around Bahamian waters, as he says he's seen quite a few while traveling. He referenced a recent trip to Inagua where he met garbage up to his knee along the southeast coastline.
All of it came, there was everything from condoms to injection needles, whatever you can imagine was in that little square area. And that was not put there by people on Inagua. That was not put there by Bahamians. That was dumped in our ocean, and that was the amount that actually floated onto the coast of southeast Inagua, which means that no one has been monitoring whatever these ships are doing.
Earlier this year, 2 cruise lines were fined in U.S. courts for illegal dumping in Bahamian waters, one of them even admitting to the breach. It prompted local environmentalists to urge government to bare its environmental teeth and hit cruise lines with fines of their own. The Environmental Planning and Protection Act 2019 has already been passed, and the new merchant shipping bill is still in the works.
The cruise ships and these ships, they dumped, and then someone were fined by Florida, and they dumped it in our water, and yet we got no compensation to this day. And some 20 million and another 10 million have been levied upon one of the cruise lines, and they all did it in our waters.
Well, work is underway at Port Lucaya Marina, where a canal wall collapsed on Tuesday. It was a messy scene that saw huge chunks of the wall and pavement cave in, taking a lamp pole and parts of the dock with it. Port Lucaya owner Preben Olesen said after 35 years of water eating away under the sidewalks and damage from several hurricanes, it was expected. He added they've been planning to deal with it for quite some time now.
I'm pleased to say that before the sun went down, we had the place totally secured. We had the place totally cleaned up. As you can see, the basin now has no more debris, no more stuff floating around. We have a safety boom out there to prevent anything from floating out now. And and we have everything fenced off now with proper safe fencing. So, yesterday we had some yellow tape up to keep people out, but now we have proper fencing to make sure nobody gets out there.
Olesen says thankfully no one was hurt during the incident. However, work and planning are underway to redo the entire marina with new docks. He says hopefully Grand Bahamians will soon see a dramatic new plan. But for now, details like cost and a timeline haven't been decided as yet.
It's too early to answer that question because right now we have the engineers redesigning what needs to be done, and we have had several local contractors in touch with us already who are willing and happy to do the work. So once they have the engineering plans, and then they will give us quotes on it. So it's much too early to talk about that.
A record-breaking 3,000 students entered the 2020 Laws of Life essay and video competition, with 95 students from public and private schools receiving top awards. The competition, a joint venture between the Templeton World Charity Foundation and the Ministry of Education, went virtual this year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. It highlighted young writers from 5th grade to the collegiate level. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd congratulated the finalists.
I believe St. John Templeton also developed this Laws of Life competition to cultivate the critical thinking and problem-solving skills of our students. I am particularly pleased with the diversity of topics, all of which call for students to interpret, investigate, research, and arrive at conclusions.
The primary, secondary, and senior category winners received a scholarship prize of $1,000 as well as a $1,000 cash prize for their school. Templeton Foundation President Dr. Andrew Sarrazin stressed the importance of the Laws of Life.
So today, when the threat of the coronavirus pandemic is so great, the laws of life show us that they are so much more valuable. For coronavirus, there's no simple, magical solution. There's no silver bullet. Technologies for cure and prevention remain months away. And so perhaps we can use this as an opportunity to save lives now in this country.
Still to come, a look at week 2 of NFL season. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
A pivotal game on the schedule as week 2 of the NFL season kicks off. Marcellus Hall has that in this edition of sports.
As is typical on a Thursday, once the NFL gets rolling, it's time for another week of football action to get going. Tonight, a pivotal matchup for two teams as they get their season hopefully off to a 1-1 start.
Well, if you can say a team faces a must-win situation just 2 games into a season, then you would certainly say that about the Cleveland Browns, who square off against the Cincinnati Bengals in Thursday Night Football tonight. The Browns, and in particular QB Baker Mayfield, will face incredible criticism should they fall to the Bengals and their rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. Cleveland already under the microscope after what many feel was an underwhelming 2019 campaign where they finished 6-10 on the year, 3rd in the NFC North. This after being projected to contend for the title. An 0-2 start might prompt rumblings of change either on the coaching side or at QB.
And don't forget, you can still get your NFL Sunday Ticket courtesy of Rev simply by opting in if you have Trio. If not, it is available for sale if you want to just call up one of our agents and make sure you don't miss any of the action as it happens throughout the course of this exciting NFL season. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather. On our satellite, high pressure remains in charge of our weather across the islands. High-level clouds moving from east to west. A couple of showers near the Inagua area, as well as the Andros area. That high pressure will remain with us for the next several days. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Winds will be out of the southeast to south, 10 to 15 knot seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, while in the central and southeastern islands and east to southeasterly flow at 10 to 15 knots, seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. Now we'll look at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the go through Plea app. Stay tuned for a brand new episode of On the Record with host Jerome Sawyer. Have a good evening, Thomas.